Welcome to Hey Clarity. I'm your host, Lindsay, and today we're opening the Akashic Records on the full moon in Taurus. So this is a collective reading, and it's important to note, look back in your calendar at the new moon in Taurus of this year, which was May 7th, and check out like your notes, your calendar, the things you were working on, and see what has unfolded, what may have come to fruition from that time until now. And we'll get into the collective energies of the full moon, but it's fun to look back and see what story has unfolded since the new moon in Taurus. So May 7th, check your calendars, check your notes. What were you working on? What were you talking about? What were you planning? What were you building? And see where you're at with that now. So the questions that we're going to ask for the full moon in Taurus are: what is the energy of this full moon? How can we best work with this energy? What is being illuminated? What story has come to fruition since the corresponding new moon on May 7th from a collective standpoint? So you'll have your individual story, but then we'll see what the collective story is. What are we letting go of? And what's the most important message we need to know? So let's get into it. First question: what is the energy of this full moon in Taurus? They're showing a big eye in the moon blinking, and they're saying, in the blink of an eye, story changed. The story changed. Your ideas of the collective have changed. They're saying, now what? What's the reality? What's the reality that you're living in? And there's a little bit of like, not real living. They're giving me the words, not real living. That what you think the reality is, what the reality looks like, might actually not be the reality. And so they're saying we're teasing through realities right now. So there's a wake-up call in this energy, the illumination of the energy. And they're saying like realities and not realities, and even mixed realities. Your reality might be different than my reality. And then they're saying like our reality. What is our reality? And so our perspectives are like zooming in and zooming out under this wake-up call. This, in the blink of an eye, they're saying massive connections and collective changes changed. And they're saying like, think about the ways of our living, how we live amongst everyone around us, how we live among each other, and what works and what doesn't. And again, with this like zooming way out and zooming way back in. So they're saying when you're kind of zoomed out to like the external chaos, that might be way too much. And they're saying you can't necessarily handle that. And they're saying that's a reality, is like, they're saying a fixed perspective. It's not a fixed perspective. We think things, we may have had belief systems that there are fixed perspectives. But what they're saying is like perspectives actually change. They're saying climate changed, climate changes, environment changes, people change. And they're saying don't underestimate or overestimate the ability for changes. So right now, they're showing as if there's been a collective rug pulled out from under us. And it's revealed a lot about our foundation, our foundations. So now what? So they're saying, look at it and take your time. And there's no rush because it's unsettled at this time. So much has been, so you got the rug pulled out from under you. Maybe took a tumble, maybe you fell down, maybe you're down, you're laying low, you're feeling heavy, you're feeling tired and exhausted, maybe you're getting sick. This is the time to wait, and they're saying wait in presence, observe. They're saying connect, with your loved ones, keep connection, keep communication. But there's a little bit about, they're saying be malleable, be flexible, because our ideas are changing for new cycles. So it's like right now I'm getting this almost like these waves. Like we're all experiencing these waves under this illumination of the full moon in Taurus. So they're showing like the full moon is illuminating almost like these ocean waves. They're saying waves of the ocean, waves of the people, the emotional state, the mental state. And there's a lot of external chaos in this moment, in these moments, at this time. And so if it's not clear, and they're saying it's likely not, we need to wait for some of these waves to settle. The impact, it's like they're showing like the impact of something hitting, and then there's a reverberation in the foundation. There's a reverberation, there's an energetic reverberation that goes very far in the collective. So when there's a massive impact, like many of us have experienced, that wave, like the sound, the energy, the meaning, the realities or not realities of that wave need to move through the entire collective and then settle before we know what we're looking at. And so this reverberation is still, they're saying it chimes. It's still making it sound. It's still having its post-impact, initial impact. We're still in like the initial phases of this impact. So they're saying like wait in presence and be listening and be observing and stay alert. There's something about wreaking havoc and recklessness. They're saying don't jump ahead. Don't, like, no expectations. They're saying you have no idea what's to come yet. We're projecting ideas. We're projecting possibilities. We're sending out signals of things that may or may not come to fruition. So they're saying, hold on, hold back. Not like stuff things in. Take care of yourself, like release your emotional and mental state. Like they're saying mental health, like focus on all of that. But they're saying don't spring ahead. Don't spring into action. And if you remember from the Scorpio new moon message, they were also saying that it's not the time to spring ahead. This is a time of hunkering down. They're even saying like hunkering around, like your immediate environment, like really embrace, again, being in the present moment, being in your present environment, not thinking too far away from where you stand, from where you are. So again, they're saying to wait in the presence, to wait in the presence. Anything else? What is the energy of this full moon in Taurus? It's really just wait, and stay observing and taking care of yourself. How can we best work with this energy? I think they kind of answered that, but let's get more specific. How can we best work with this energy? They're just like, breathe. They're like the word breathe and all the letters are like separating from each other and expanding. There's this space between, that magical space in between, the silence, the quiet in between the letters, in between the words, in between the sounds. They're like tranquil, be tranquil, tranquility, like find the tranquility in between, the spaces in between. There's that magical space. They're making me think of shamanic drums and how your like trance-like state comes from the focus on the space in between the beats of the drum. And they're like, this is a magical space to be in stillness, to listen, to be of the listening mind, to be of the waiting, watching, observing mind, paying attention. They're saying like, we get smarter in our listening, we get smarter in our observing. So really to work with this energy is like, it's not like not communicating. It's just like, it feels more intimate. It feels like we're like choosing the people around us wisely that we communicate and connect with. Those who are good for us, those who are taking care of us, those who are nurturing us, those who also listen. It's kind of like how annoyed we get when someone just talks and talks and talks and talks and talks and talks and doesn't listen. It doesn't ask you questions. And there's like a little bit of a like, shut up to those who just complain and talk so much and never listen. And they're like, there's this like, they're saying golden opportunities around the quieter ones. There are golden opportunities around the quieter ones. So be listening, because you're going to receive information, whether it's external downloads, like you're connecting with your guides, with spirit, with the Akashic Records, with higher intelligence, or your own innate inner intelligence. And they're saying like grief and love as the same. Grief and love as the same. When you're sitting in the grief or the sorrow or the sadness, not the fear. There's something about the fear of love and how that makes us reactive. And there's something about the actions we take when there's fear in our love. But they're saying when there's grief in our love, there's so much more love. So they're likening grief and love, and it comes from the same place in our hearts, but it's like some of us, they're kind of saying the more quiet ones or the listeners, the ones who observe more, are really feeling that grief, the heaviness. And they're just like, hey, look, because what's also being illuminated with this moon is how much love you have for each other, for belonging, for people. They're saying like, there's a bit of like the longing for that if you don't have it, but you know that it exists. They're like, some of you have it, many of you have it. So really kind of bask in that love when you're feeling grief. But then there's also those who might not have those people around them and they're just feeling the grief. But they're saying it's also the longing for the love and the belonging with your people, with your network, your community, your friends, your family, whether blood or chosen, your partnerships, all of your relationships. So when we are hitting these places of grief, we're hitting them, they're saying, to the heart so deeply, deeper and deeper into our grief, where we are having this outpouring and this overflowing of love. And I am remembering that was also in the Scorpio new moon reading. So this is a continued theme. this outpouring of love. Of course, it keeps kind of jumping into like the next question. So what is being illuminated for us? What is being illuminated for us under this full moon in Taurus? They're saying grief is love. Grief is love underneath it all. Sadness and sorrow, it's like love lost or the longing for love. But there's a calling. What's being illuminated is that like this grief, this heartbrokenness is a calling for more love. It's a calling to it. Whether that's friendships, relationships, they're just saying all of your relationships, your colleagues, networks, neighbors, people in your neighborhood, like they're saying however like close and like dear to you, or even like more of like an acquaintance, unfamiliar, you might still have love for that person you barely know. And they're just saying like, kind of follow the heart, follow where the heart wants to be. And they're saying what's happening is like, as you're walking throughout your day and you gravitate towards love, you follow the love in your heart. That's magnifying when you and that person or you and those people get together. There's a reverberation, a healing, mending reverberation when people get together that are in the energy of love. So they're saying no hiding. Don't hide. And don't hide your love. Like it could be as, they're kind of showing like an image in my mind, so I'll just share it. It's like you have a favorite coffee shop and you love the owner, you love the barista, or you love another regular that comes to this coffee shop. You don't know them personally, but every time you see them, like you feel happy, you know, you're happy to see these people. And so this is a level of love. And so it's like every time you go into that establishment, into that coffee shop, and you all say like, good morning, how are you? You know, the quick talk here and there, but the energy between you, there's love underneath, there's care for each other. And that space, you know, there's like this, they're saying ping pong. There's this energetic ping pong that happens, and then it's like more and more love, more and more love. And so it's like, you know, your favorite coffee shop, there's probably a lot of love in there because there's been a lot of love, they're saying love like-minded people who have passed through there, and it's just, it kind of has this orb, this portal or this vortex. And so they're like, the no hiding is like, you know, because of the impact and the reverberation of this wake-up call, we may find the need to isolate. And they're saying, don't do that. Take your rest, take your space for like regeneration, but be out in the world and go do the things that you love. Go be around the people that you love on whatever level that is, however deep or new, they're saying, those connections are. Be out in the world. It's like a reminder to yourself, to ourselves, and to others that we care for each other. And I'm just seeing that being this very mending, healing, almost aftermath of the reverberation of the initial impact of the wake-up call. So it's like this blast took place. It's shaken up our foundation. It's rocked us to the core values, they're saying, core values, core belief systems. And there's that, you know, the idea of that after chaos comes peace, right? So they're like, what are you doing about that? And we're just kind of getting the boost to not hide. Yes, rest in regeneration, but don't hide. Be out in the world with the people that you want to be with. And they're saying like, just focus on that. where you're follow the heart. Where does your heart want to go? I want to hang out with this person. I want to, go on a trip with this person. I want to meet at the coffee shop. I want to do this. I want to do whatever it is, like whatever level it is. But it's almost like they're saying love contained is wasted versus love shared and expressed, or just being around, out and about in the world, right? So it's like if you just stay in your home and you're like this little love bubble, it's like, okay, that's nice that like your home is this little love bubble, but are you inviting people into your home to be in that love bubble with you? And you are that little love bubble if you're in that space. And it's better for our world to have you out in the world interacting, no matter what you're met with, right? So they're saying, for example, like let's say you're walking down the street in a busy city and you're all filled up with your little love bubble-ishness, and you pass somebody and you smile at them and they have like an angry face, or they say something obnoxious, or they roll their eyes or whatever. They're just like, whatever. Like they're saying you're more powerful in this place of love. And that person somewhere in them probably realized or doesn't realize, realizes, and then like maybe feels kind of shitty about not just reciprocating a smile or a good morning or whatever, like later on. But then also there's it's not personal, and they might be thinking of something horrid, they're saying, in their mind when they see you, and it's just bad timing. So there's something about like not taking it personally if you're like in this love bubble walking around the world and someone wants to like pop your love bubble. So they're like, just whatever. They're like, that's gonna happen, and like that's happening. But they're just going back to like, grief is love, and maybe some people haven't hit the rock bottom of the grief to find the love yet. They're still in like anger, protecting, sadness mode, right? So anger, protection from the hurt, the vulnerability, and the rawness of being sad and sorrowful and raw. And they're kind of like, it's below that is where the realities of grief are, and where the love can be outpouring. What story has come to fruition since the corresponding new moon in Taurus on May 7th? So what story? They're saying connecting, communication around belonging. Depending on how aware we have been about our need to find our, like, they're saying love like-minded people. This story has either been the realization of who is not your people, or you've already done that and this has been finding your people. So we're at different stages of this next level, new cycle of people in our lives, for building our foundations, our communities. They're saying network, neighborhood, family, partnerships, relationships. So it has either been, they're saying like a very drawn out process of like the relationships and people kind of parading in front of you, and you're realizing, ooh, that's not so good for me. Ooh, that's really not good for me. Oh my God, I can't stand this anymore. Oh my God, this is excruciating. Like all the different ways you're like, this might not be working for me. And so now it's like, they're kind of saying judgment day, and really having to make the decision, and there can be some heaviness around making this decision of like, who are the good people for you and who's like not good for you? What's the takeaway? And then for others who may have done that, they're kind of saying like 1 year ago, they're being very specific about these time frames. For those who have kind of seen it, it's like you're already done with the emotional aspect of like, okay, these people are bad for me, like I'm saying goodbye, and you're just kind of dislodging yourself from these people, these communities, whatever, relationships. And you're now put in the place of finding your people. They're saying freedom reigns, allowing you to be mobile, have the mobility to move around and find your people, or you've found them and you're on the precipice of building this new foundation for this new cycle. So we're at different levels with that, but it has to do with our relationships and like, who is not your people? That is the biggest story that has come to fruition since May. And they're saying some of it is this impact reverberation makes it very, very clear. They're saying the most clear possible. And it's easier for some to walk away than it is for others. And they're saying, like, give yourself some credit for how hard the hardships that you've been through and how hard it is to make these decisions, and be gentle with yourself in the process of dislodging or being dislodged. They're saying it can come through like traumatic events, or kind of the dismantling of those foundations and those people is a traumatic event in itself, right? Because it's almost like the floor drops beneath you and you're like, wait a minute, like there's no floor below me. I have no, my foundation is gone now. What now? But they're like, you're suspended. You're suspended in the air. You're not falling through. You're not going to fall through. We get scared when we lose our foundations of people. And it feels unsettling. You might feel unsettled, but they're saying you're suspended and you're in this place of having more mobility and freedom. And so they're saying if you can allow it to be freedom versus loss. And they're saying like, it could be grief around these losses. It'll be less scary a little bit. So they're saying loss, grief, love, loss, grief, love. These are like the themes that keep kind of coming up. But also that when you get to that place of grief, there is more love. So even in looking in the past, looking at the past, looking at the people of your past, you might be able to see them from a place of more love and appreciation and gratitude, versus they're saying like the stickiness and the ickiness and the like tethered emotions to them. You may be able to move forward in a place of more love because that's what you want to bring into the new foundations. What are we letting go of? They just said people, relationships. They're like beating me to all the questions. Okay, what are we letting go of? One more time. They're just like relationships, not your people, not your people. And they're like, and how did you get there? How did you get there? I mean, you may have grown, you may have changed, you may have never belonged there. You may have been conditioned to think that you belonged there. You may have gotten so comfortable, they're saying miserable. They're like warm, comfortable, sometimes warm, miserable, right? Familiar can be miserable. And they're saying become like oversaturated and like tired, maybe lazy to do anything about it. But now they're saying it's time to get away. They're saying take it away, take away, let it go altogether. And they're showing someone like, they're showing some of these relationships symbolically. Here's the visual, is like we've been climbing a rope and holding on to this rope for a really long time, holding on to this rope. And you're pretty high up. So obviously there'd be a fear to drop, to let go of the rope and fall. But they're saying you might want to drop. You might want to drop. And they're like, you'll be surprised that actually you land on your feet. You'll be surprised that the floor is, the foundation, the floor is actually not so far from where you're hanging. But it's like the exhaustion of holding on to this rope. It's like, why are you holding on to this rope? And the rope is a rope, it's threads, it's our cords to each other. It's all of those people, and we're clinging onto it, and we're tired, and our arms are tired, and our legs are tired. We've been like grasping this rope, holding on for so long, and just like, you can't hold it anymore. And it's like, you're too tired to keep putting effort into continuing to climb the rope or hold the rope. And it's like, you might as well just drop and let it go and land on your feet. And the surprise is going to be that you're not going to fall, and you're going to be like, wait, that wasn't so bad. Like I wasn't going to fall and hurt myself this whole time. Like everything was going to be okay when I just let go of these relationships, these people. Are you kidding me? Because like, I'm getting that like, once we actually do the thing, we're going to be like, I kind of wish I did it sooner. You know, I kind of wish I did. But they're like, don't worry, like, don't obsess over like the waste of time. Some of us might really obsess over wasting our time, but they're like, think about what you did while you were holding on to that rope. Your body was getting strong. Yeah, you're tired, you're exhausted. You were, in the end of it, you were weak and you had to let go, right? But they're like, all those muscles you build holding on for so long, like, you're so strong. And they're like, it just proves like you're strengthened, your commitment to people, the right people for you, your dedication to the right people for you. That's there. And all of that effort, all of that commitment and dedication that you put into the people who were not your people, man, they're like, just wait until you put that into each other when you meet your people. So it's like the old foundation, we're letting go of it, and we're so strong for our new foundations. And all of us coming together in this new cycle with these new people, like that foundation, they're saying, is like super strong. It's going to be so strong. So they're like, don't worry. Don't worry. They're like, your connections, your people, like not your people, goodbyes. They're like, goodbyes. Good. It's good. Bye. Cool. Last question. What's the most important message we need to know about the full moon in Taurus? What's the most important message we need to know about the full moon in Taurus? They're showing me the face of a hawk, and the hawk is like gold. The sun is illuminating this hawk. There's sunlight all over the hawk, and it's like a red hawk, but it looks golden because the sun is beaming on its face, and it's looking like directly at me. And they're saying, very clear. You are seeing things very clear. We are seeing things very clear. The ones who listen and observe. The ones who are paying attention and have been paying attention. The responsible, the responders, those who they're saying can handle silence and know that there's a lot of magic and value in listening and paying attention and observing. The aware, they're saying like, you're all these like really powerful apex predators, but they're like not predators, but like top class, like you're apex people. You see things very clear. So they're saying like, hold the vision, pay attention, keep paying attention and observing what you're seeing. And they're like, just kind of take notes. And then they just said blessings, dreams come true, partnerships, relationships, community, connection, belonging, your home. And they're saying like, once you find it, they're like, take your home, take it. You know, when you see it, when you find your home, they're like, dive in. They're saying belonging is a blessing. And the calling from the heart that leads us there, to each other, to everyone, to those who are our people. The calling, we're hearing the calling. And they're saying blessings, connection, partnerships, community. They're just like belonging, like at your home, like your home, you're coming home. They're saying like earth home. You're gonna find your people after enduring your not people. Okay, so that was the Akashic Records on the full moon in Taurus. I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know what you think about that in the comment section below. And the next reading I'm going to do is we're going to take a peek into the year 2025. So around this time every year we do a reading on the upcoming year. So that'll be the next reading that comes out. Stay tuned. I hope you enjoyed watching that. See you guys soon.